What about second breakfast?
Time for second breakfast.
What's up, everybody? Monster here from Breakdowns for Breakfast with another delicious second breakfast. Okay, so I go to a lot of concerts, and every time I do, I like to come on here and tell you a little bit about my experiences. Within the past few months, we've talked about the Linkin Park tour, talked about Metallica, a couple more thrown in there, I believe, the New Metal Madness tour. So last night, went to another exciting concert. Just in case anybody forgot, Monster is a dad and has a 6-year-old little girl and a 3-year-old little girl. So sometimes what that means is you go to concerts that maybe you wouldn't normally go to. Like, for example, last night we went and saw DannyGo. Now, if you don't know who DannyGo is, I'll explain here in a minute. But needless to say, this was a little bit different than some of the most recent concerts we've been to. So, a little bit of backstory here. DannyGo is a children's performer, sort of in the vein of a Blippi or Miss Rachel, but me and Mrs. Monster much prefer DannyGo to those. And here's kind of why I am. Number one, the bulk of DannyGo's content for kids is based around music. It's just songs about getting up and dancing and being active. And the lyrics are usually silly stuff about robots and dinosaurs and stuff like that. And he's got this group of characters that are also in these videos with him. But at the end of the day, he just acts like a person. Whereas, like, you know, I think of Blippi as the best example, who is like a grown man who acts like a child playing in a ball pit. DannyGo just acts like a guy who makes silly songs. So I kind of prefer that kind of thing. And, you know, I don't know him personally, but I know he's from Charlotte, North Carolina, which is very, you know, close to where I live. And as a matter of fact, that's where we went and saw him in concert last night, May 4th, 2025. But he got into doing these songs. I believe it was for his nephew. It might have been his actual son. I do not remember off the top of my head. Who had has some physical health, mental health issues. But, you know, some handicap issues there. And he just basically wanted to make some funny videos and fun videos to make them happy. And this thing blew up. And his videos have millions and millions of views. As a matter of fact, again, he is from Charlotte area, North Carolina. He had a show on the 3rd and the 4th. Both were sold out. Then we looked at some of the other dates, some in North Carolina, but then they're going on tour all the way out into like Texas and Arkansas, and all of these things are selling out. Now, where we saw him was at this place called the Ovens Auditorium, which is at the Bojangles complex. It's where the Charlotte hockey team, the Checkers, play. It's not a huge coliseum, and then the auditorium is a little bit smaller than that. I've seen a lot of these places popping up. It's like a 2,500 person theater. It's bigger than just like a club or like a theater, but it's not as big as like some kind of an arena or anything. So about 2,500 people, I think, is what the capacity was. And yeah, it was sold out. And boy, you could tell it was sold out. So let me tell you a little bit more about him. So he makes these videos that are mostly based around just songs. They're very short. They're very silly. They usually have a dance. Usually there's a game involved, like you're like running from sharks, trying to capture treasure, or the floor is lava, like those kinds of things. And he has this group of characters with him. Mindy Mango, which is actually his wife, and then there's this guy named Pap, who's like a scientist. Every time you see him, he's got on like a lab coat. There's a guy named Gerald, who's just a big dude. He plays drums And then there is my personal favorite, Bearhead, which is just a dude in a Hawaiian shirt with a giant bear head. And I love it. It's hilarious. And again, it's all, they do have videos of like them doing other things. Like there's one about like a pool party where they're like showing different like games you can play at the pool and stuff. There's one where he goes to an animal shelter and learns about how to take care of dogs and puppies and stuff. But the majority of it is music related. And so anyway, so we go to this show, Mrs. Monster. She is all over it. She got us really good tickets. We were about 6 or 7 rows from the front, right in the middle. It was great. But it's in Charlotte, which is about an hour and a half, 2-hour drive, depending on traffic. And there's always traffic. So we went and saw Metallica a few days ago before this and got stuck in, 3 lanes closed due to some kind of a wreck situation. Similar this time, we're trying to get into Charlotte. There's all kinds of congestion and stuff. Charlotte, get your shit together. Golly. Like, I mean, we used to go see basketball games there a lot. Every once in a while we'll go to a football game. Like I said, we go to concerts there. Charlotte is not a bad city. Like uptown Charlotte is kind of cool, but getting in and out of Charlotte, seems like every time we go, it gets worse. So I don't know if it's a population issue or what, but do better. Anyway, we get there, we got some time to spare, so we're doing all right. Turns out if it's a show predominantly for kids between the ages of 3 and 8, they start earlier. So this show started at 5, which was cool for us because, having a bit of a drive there and back and having a 3-year-old and a 6-year-old, it was, we were home by like 9 something, which was not super late. I don't think we got back from Metallica till almost 3 in the morning. So, but we made some stops and whatever. So anyway, so we get there and did not have to pay to park. Was like, whoa, what a novel concept. You just park in the parking lot that was built for this arena. So fantastic. But they did have parking lot attendants that were really helpful, keeping traffic moving, a lot of little kids running around. So we get inside and this little auditorium, like open area is fairly spacious, but it is crammed full of people and little kids everywhere. And they have these giant, like picture photo opportunities, I guess, with the characters from the show. And so, but they're like set up in like these areas where they're not like away from people. They're just slap dab in the middle of where everybody's standing. So everybody wants to take a picture with these giant, cutouts or whatever, but people are constantly moving back and forth. And so it's like your kids are running in front of other kids and, it's chaos, but it's all like good natured chaos, a lot of laughing and, everybody's having a good time. Now the merch booth. Now, of course there's merch, right? A little less expensive than Metallica. My Metallica shirts were $45 a piece. The DannyGo tour shirts were $35. I did not get one. I did think about it. But my 6-year-old did get one. And my 3-year-old got a plushie, stuffy of DannyGo, which is a little weird, but, you know what? She likes it. It's fine. Whatever. But hey, Metallica merch folks, you should take a lesson from the DannyGo merch folks, because that line wrapped around the entire auditorium and it took us about 12 minutes to get to the front of it. They had 4 or 5 people working that were real quick, moving you in, moving you out, but they were real, nice and polite and had no trouble. We got the girls these like flashing glow sticks. That's a part of DannyGo's music. They do these like, these little drum things, and it kind of have like these light up pool noodles. So we got the girls some of those so they could play along during the songs. So anyway, we get in there, we get into our seats, good seats, like I said, and it's already 5:00 and I'm like, okay, Axl Rose, what's the deal? Y'all coming out or what? And then at about 10 after, they put this like 5-minute countdown on the screen. And so the kids are all getting hype and they're screaming. And whew, I tell you, when it's 2,500 people, and I would say at least 1,000 of them are between the ages of like 2 and 10. Whoo boy, there's some high pitched squealing going on. Both of mine were doing it too, so it's fine. So anyway, so then the lights go out and the curtain opens, and they've got a pretty cool setup. They've got like these 3 giant screens behind them, and they would use those screens to like show the videos that they're known for, but also like they would interact with the videos too. Like they all came out as like their character was like running towards the front of the screen, and when they got to the front, they acted like they jumped out, and then they would come running in from the side stage. Now, on stage, when they first opened the curtains, there was a keyboard, a bass guitar, and a drum set. Now, like I said, all of this is music-based. So I know that some combination of these people can write and record music. All the songs are sung by that Danny guy, the main character. But he's not a quote-unquote singer. Most of the stuff that he's singing are very simple melodies, you know, other than like specifically tongue twister moments that they have from time to time. The lyrics are very simple and easy to get stuck in your head and sing along to. I mean, it's for little kids, you know, it's supposed to be. So whenever they started the first song, they were like, quote unquote, playing some of the instruments. The Pap Pap guy was quote unquote playing the bass, and Bearhead was playing the drums. Now, later on, it was very apparent that they weren't actually playing, but there was one part where they did sort of like this drum thing where DannyGo got behind the drum kit, and then Bearhead and Gerald both had these like tree trunk drum things, and I think they were playing to a track, but they were playing. Like, you could tell that they were actually hitting the drums and stuff. And so, like I said, this is for little kids. I'm not that mad about them not playing the songs live, you know? I mean, come on. And so, also, when they were playing the songs, all the singing was pre-recorded. So, you know, he was like lip syncing to the songs, but he was constantly saying stuff in between lines and in between songs, and all the like banter between songs where they're like setting up little skits and stuff. All of that was done, you know, live. But it was fun. It was energetic. They had a cool, like, a lot of lasers. People would come out and shoot like confetti cannons. At one point, a couple of people dressed as penguins came out and started slinging like little cotton balls, looked like snowballs at the crowd. They have this one song about a shark attack. So he had a couple of people come running out with these giant inflatable sharks and chase them around the stage. It's genuinely creative. It's almost like seeing like improv theater or something, but it has a little bit of like this Pee Wee Herman sense of humor to it. Probably my favorite part is they do this song where they get shrunk down to the size of bugs, and it's talking about March Like a Millipede. So that Pap Pap guy comes out with this thing attached to his shoulders that looks like 3 yoga balls with like legs taped to it. It's so silly, and it's so like hapdash thrown together that it's hilarious. Like, you know, as an adult watching this, it's still kind of funny. Like, I laughed out loud when he walked out with that on, and he has a, you know, he comes out marching with this big smile on his face, like, quote unquote, in character, but it's just like, you can tell they're having fun, you know, which is, again, but it doesn't come across as kind of icky like some adult children performers can. It feels very like, we're here to sing and dance and have fun, and that's it, you know. Now, something that they did that I think more bands should do, as a man that's getting older, who pees pretty frequently, there was a 15-minute intermission about halfway through. And I tell you what, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. I appreciated having a bathroom break in the middle. But yeah, so they do the 15-minute break. They come back out. They do more songs. Right before the last song, he does give a little bit of a, thank you guys for coming. It was very heartfelt. Like I said, he's from that area. So he talked about some people that were in the audience, his old boss who kind of gave him the opportunity to do this. And now, best I can tell, this is what they do for a living. Because, I mean, like I said, we're talking several millions of views on most of these videos. I know they made thousands of dollars in merch sales, and like I said, these shows are selling out left and right. So, and then we got in the car and we're leaving, and, it's like 7:00. It's like, wow, you can go get your face rocked off at 5 and be in the car to go home by 7. Yes. More metal bands should do this. Are you kidding me? I love that idea. Maybe preferably on like a Saturday, so we're not like rushing after work to get there. But yes, start earlier, end earlier. I love it. There's a whole thing about like in the local music community about get there early, stay late, support all the bands. Yeah, well, when your last band goes on at 1 a.m. and you have a 2-hour drive home, that's tough. Sometimes you start at 5, your last band goes on at 8. I'm there all day. I'll be there until I'll help sweep the floor, So anyway, Monster typically goes to heavy shows, a lot of rock, a lot of metal. This time we went to DannyGo, and my wife had a great time. My kids had a great time. If you have kids and you're looking for something that's a little more interesting and not as mind-numbing as some children performers, I'd highly recommend DannyGo. It's all positive. He seems like a genuinely good dude. The characters that he has, the songs that they write, it's all fun. It really is fun, and it gets your kids up, dancing around, running around the house, not just sitting there watching some other man-child pretend to run around. So anyway, yeah. Monster went and saw DannyGo, and it was fun, and I would do it again. If you've ever been to a kids concert like this, maybe you've been to a Kids Bop thing, or I've got 1 or 2 more of these that I'm going to do before the end of the year, because we like to take our kids to stuff, so stay tuned for that. But if you've ever been to anything like this and you want to share your stories or your experiences, please let me know. I'd love to hear about it. breakdownsbreakfast@gmail.com, or just hit us up on Facebook or Instagram, the usual places. But yeah, thanks for tuning in, and I hope you have a great day.